All right. Welcome to Evidence Based Audio, episode 210. This is NAMM 2023 so far. And to start out with, you may or may not know this face. This is Leonard French, I think his name is. He's got a YouTube channel called Lawful Masses. He deals a lot with copyright law, and he's always reading copyright law. And he just got a DMCA strike for some background music as he was filming something. And when this fight was going on in Congress and through the media and everybody else about these newer, much stronger DMCA laws, people were saying, oh, there's no way that you're going to accidentally be sued or go to jail or whatever because your phone happened to be picking up somebody's stereo in some car driving by or whatever. But that's exactly what happened here to him. In his case, of course, he's got a big enough channel where YouTube actually came to his defense. Not like mine. I don't know. We've talked about this so many times that this video is very likely to be flagged by Facebook and YouTube. My speaking voice has been claimed by Content ID scammers, including Universal Music Group, Warner Music Group, several other very big companies. So any sound that comes out of my studio, a drum sound, it could be my own snare, whatever, my voice, I am constantly being DMCA flagged. And this isn't just a civil thing. I can't just be sued. I can go to jail over this. And it really blows my mind that this is still going on. I was whitelisted thanks to some of the bigger YouTube channels for a little while, but this is something that as musicians, it's terrifying because we rely on recording things. And if we are threatened for this sort of thing, it's terrifying. But luckily, Leonard French, I mean, this is the last guy in the world you're going to DMCA, right? Because this is what he does for a living, is to fight these sort of frivolous claims. But, you know, lucky for him, he was, YouTube went to bat for him. Hey, Leonard, how about you ask YouTube to go to bat for me, please? I can't do as much of this as I used to do because of this. It's a really scary thing. Okay, so move on to something fun. Here's a Loop BE. If you guys don't know about this, is a virtual MIDI driver. You can communicate between apps. Like, let's say you want to send your DAW to another DAW, or you want to send Guitar Pro in real time over to a drum sampler. This is what somebody was asking, the Metal Method guy was asking me about. This is a free one. It's like a loopback kind of driver for MIDI. You can send from one program to another on your own computer, which is absolutely awesome. And it says free for non-commercial personal use. And if you are doing it commercially, you after 30 days you're supposed to buy it. And let's see what this price is. Loop BE1, like $14 US. I mean, it's totally worth it. This will save you some massive trouble. Now they have another product for what, $20? It's only like $8 more, whatever. It's this thing called Loop BE 30. 30 channels of virtual MIDI. You can just send from every sampler you got all over the place. Super cheap. This thing works really, really well. And now I'm looking at, there's something virtual audio cable, an audio loopback driver. Okay, you know, we talk about this all the time on this show. I don't know how this one works. I'll try this out for you, and let's see if this is actually safe. These things have always been sketchy, but, you know, for instance, RME. I'm going to pull up the Total Mix page right here. Any one of these channels on this RME device, this is RME Digiface USB, for instance, can turn into a loopback driver, but couldn't they just make a bunch of virtual loopback drivers in the DSP? Please, let's think about that, Army. Anyway, so I'll give the audio one a try, but if you have any need to send MIDI between programs on your computer, go grab this. For non-commercial use, the one channel is free forever, I guess, so go check it out. Okay, we talked about this a little bit. SSL has bought Harrison, and I think that means that SSL owns Harrison Mixbus, Mixbus 32C or whatever the current incarnation of it is. A lot of you guys love this as a DAW, and you know, what's to stop SSL from doing their own DAW here? And you know, as much as SSL has been really cool about Reaper, especially from the early days on, I wouldn't fault them at all for making their own DAW. That's pretty awesome. So let's see what else we got here. Okay, more about the Headrush Prime, the new flagship pedal board from Headrush, which uses some Revolver stuff. Jim Roseberry, no stranger to this show, right? Pretty much aside from Vin Curliano, the DAW latency and stability and build guru out there. He picked one of these up, and he liked it except for the latency. So let me read this. He actually posted a lot about this. We've talked about this before. He said, "I've packed it up and ready to ship back. I certainly like things about the Headrush Prime. Latency is just a killer for me. Was hoping for a firmware update might address the higher latency, but is still at version 3.1. I suspect the higher latency is to mitigate CPU load. As a point of reference, my 13900K DAW can run Tonex at 96K using a 16 sample ASIO buffer size. That's roughly 5 millisecond. No, sorry. That's roughly half a millisecond total round trip latency. Even quadruple that and you're at a whopping 2 milliseconds. For me, it doesn't make sense to invest in dedicated hardware that's a significant step backward." So he's talking like, you know, you could go take your laptop and throw maybe Gig Performer or Reaper Live pedal board project, for instance, on your laptop and you know, get the software you actually want and have less latency. That's messed up. If Headrush Prime could run models and clones at 3 milliseconds round trip latency, it would be an absolute no-brainer. The JCM Bassman and Ecstasy models were all very good. That version of Headrush would be worth upwards of 2K. So, yeah, kind of a bummer, but this is in their court. There's a good chance they can fix this. So yeah, ball's in your court, Revolver, Headrush, anybody else who's involved. I really am looking forward to trying this product out. I think my cousin's in Anaheim. I'm gonna see if maybe somebody can get him one to bring back so we can try it out. Okay, so this is one of them kind of clickbaity, take forever to get to the point YouTube channels, but we're always looking into the full range flat response stuff for the guitar modelers, and he had a video, and I guess it came out 6 months ago or whatever, but it keeps popping up every time I search this stuff, so I wanted to go through this a little bit. It says, do you need FR for your modeler? Here's why I stopped using FR. Now, if you know anything about how YouTube works or these kind of soy-faced clickbait channels, the answer is very unlikely to be answered anytime soon. So let's just go through here kind of quick, and I'll just skip around, try and get to the actual points.
This channel is supported by TrueFire. TrueFire is an online library of lessons from some of my favorite players that's percent off of any.
Guitar playing, some more guitar playing, some more guitar playing. So have you learned yet why he stopped using his FR? I haven't, but I hate to be that guy. But no, I don't hate to be that guy. I can't stand this clickbait stuff. Okay, still more guitar. So we're a minute in, still more guitar, more guitar, more guitar, more guitar. 2 minutes of playing.
Interesting.
Oh, here we go. Finally, we're going to start talking about this.
Someone who is interested in modelers in
I'm gonna speed
quite a
this
big
up.
way, and obviously a big part of what I do involves modelers of all kinds, whether it's the HX Stomp, the Fractal stuff, whether it's the Neural DSP Quad Cortex, whatever it is. And I don't really have any proper links to these companies. I just do this stuff because it's interesting to me and it's something that, for whatever reason, I like to nerd out on a bit. One of the things that I think
if the volume's wrong,
number one sort of challenge with this stuff is getting a sound that can work for you live and translating what I think most of us over time can start to get reliably good results with our home rigs, whatever those might be. So for me personally, I use JBL LSR 305 speakers.
Okay, so far, he's talking about having trouble maybe translating the sounds you get at home to live. Is that any different with an FR/FR than with a 12-inch cabinet? How many times have you gotten the exact perfect sound out of your setup at home with your regular old back in the day dinosaur barbarian 4x12 Marshall stack, and then you go to play it at the show and the cymbals eat all the highs and the bass eats all the lows and you got nothing left? So is that really any different with FR/FR? I don't think so.
Because that's what I hear this stuff through. Those are just, bog standard studio monitors, not expensive, particularly sort of budget end-ish studio monitors. Now, the things that you are told as conventional wisdom, I think these days, is that generally you need an FR/FR monitor. Now, the first time I remember hearing about this stuff, there was a company, I think they still make stuff, Atomic, and they made these little cabinets with like a cutout for the pod bean to go into, and this would amplify that and give you essentially what was supposed to be something like the flat response of studio monitors, but in a louder kind of cabinet that could work live. Now, this has become, I think, a bit of a norm, and I think FR/FR has been a bit of a thing that's been pushed around as a thing that you need to do. In this video, I'm going to share with you my thoughts on why that might not necessarily...
Right. I don't know that it's a need. If you want to get cleans that you could get from plugging an acoustic into a PA or things from a full range speaker, then probably if you need full range, you need full range. If you're doing like synthesizer stuff, do you want to carry around another set of speakers that has a tweeter in it, or do you just want to use your FR/FR?
Necessarily be the only option, and there are certainly folks out there that get results without going down that route. And for me personally, I've tried a couple of these options, and personally myself at the moment, what I find just as pleasing is using either going into the return of a tube amp, or at the moment I've been gigging with a Henriksen Bud, which has an active EQ on it. Just plug into the front of that. That's a solid state little amp. And you can then plug from an external cab. And
right, we're not going to get into tube versus solid state religion here, but hopefully that's not what this is about. I don't know why they talk about that stuff, but
I use a Mesa Boogie speaker with EVM 12s in it.
Poorly recorded live performance that's showing that he's playing through something that's not an FR/FR.
Only way to do it.
All right, there we go. Are we going to try and make a claim that you couldn't do this same sound with an FR/FR? I don't understand the point of this right here.
Now, that's me. I'm not an expert on any of this stuff, and I'm not telling you this is the only way to do it or is the right way or wrong way, but there are some other options that you should consider. Before I think you spend necessarily money going down the FR/FR route, I would spend a little bit of time working with what you've got if you do have something already that could do this job.
Yeah, okay, look. Do you need FR/FR for your modeler? No. Not unless you want full range sounds out of it. Okay? And he's just saying why he stopped using it. Fine. As far as this goes, whatever. And I like this where he's saying, you probably already have stuff that works. Try that out first. And, for anything that's going to be your cabinet kind of sound, if you already have a 12-inch speaker, there's your cabinet. Unless you want to change cabinets, which, again, the FR/FR can do and the Amish whatever setup can't, right? The Luddite setup.
Job. So as I say, I can plug into the back of a Mesa Boogie. This is what I've been trying, Mesa Boogie Nomad, and I just left the IR or cabs on, and oddly enough, that was as good as an experience that I've had with anything else. What I find really difficult with this stuff is that
Weird. So he left a speaker cabinet on, then went through a speaker cabinet. Usually that sounds pretty dull and weirdly mid-rangey, but who knows? Maybe he likes that sound.
because you dial things in at home at a certain volume, there's a guy called Fletcher Munson. He's got curves. Anyway,
Okay.
but
So you guys know what the Fletcher Munson curve is already, right? This is not going to be anything new. Let me just bring up some pictures. Okay. So Fletcher Munson curve is your ear's sensitivity to highs and lows. As you turn up the volume, it's easier to hear certain frequencies. Otherwise, you're most sensitive to mid-range, especially at lower volumes. You're very, very, very sensitive to the speech frequencies. Makes sense, right? Because we spend so much time talking. As the volume goes up, the difference between those speech frequencies and the highs and lows kind of goes away. But this is no different between an FR speaker and and your regular cabinet.
When you turn things up louder, sometimes you find, oh, this is not exactly what I expected, and getting involved with the band as well. So what I found is that the Mesa Boogie Nomad, if I leave the speaker simulations on, at least as I turn it up, it doesn't get super, super spiky, which is the thing which really puts me off. I think maybe I'm a little bit oversensitive to like really trebly noises. I kind of like dark.
It could be. Some people don't like accuracy, so that's another thing.
Stuff. So that for me was the reason I quite like the actual guitar amp. The other thing that I have a feeling with is that involving a tweeter in guitar tone or a coaxial speaker, I think introduces a thing that we are not, if we're looking for that real amp type experience, which is, I guess, part of why you might want to explore this route anyway, the tweeter, I think, is a little bit of an enemy to our usual guitar tones. If you've looked up kind of guitar speaker efficiency, there is a drop-off after generally around 5K, and what the tweeter is...
Okay. You guys understand speaker design and stuff. Let's just say a simple two-way speaker. There is a crossover. There's problems with the crossover. There's decisions you have to make. There's compromises you have to make. There's some phase issues potentially. There's directivity issues potentially. But it's not magic. It's not stuff we don't understand. And really, if the highs are coming out too high, that's the whole point of what your modeler is supposed to be taking care of. It's supposed to emulate the frequencies that your guitar speaker would be putting out. So if there's too much highs coming out of your tweeter, there's something wrong with your impulse response or whatever cabinet emulator you're using.
Is going to do is effectively get rid of that inefficiency. So an FRFR speaker is going to generate tones with brighter top ends than an equivalent, guitar speaker would be able to.
Right,
and
but that's the whole point of your impulse response.
Although things like the power cab can emulate these speaker frequencies and stuff and the speaker models, for me personally, I've just found just turning off that tweeter altogether got me closer to what I was looking for. The Henriksen Bud also has a tweeter on-off switch. I turn it off all the time. I don't want, especially with higher gain tones, there to be all of this kind of high gain fizzy stuff. And I think equally on an amp, I tend to run treble and presence relatively low. I'm someone who's a bit sensitive to this high-end stuff. So that's something to say. The other thing you could consider is whether before trying the FRFR stuff, if there's a slightly cheaper option that you could experiment with. If you have an existing guitar cab, but maybe you don't have an amp or anything suitable anymore, there are things like the Orange Pedal Baby and the Seymour Duncan Power Stage, and Harley Benton made the GPA 100, which Chris has of mine.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Now these are all sort of solid state power amps, the similar sort of things to what you...
It's just power though. I think, I don't know about this video.
Get in the Laney FRFR and in the Line 6 Power Cab anyway. They're just solid state amplifiers essentially. What's useful about those is that you've got some EQ on there, and I think it is a good idea, especially for this live stuff, to have like a little quick coarse adjustment that you can make. Oh, I don't need that much high end, or the mids are a bit missing, or the bass is a bit woofy, so you just got like a 3-point, I can just make some
TC
adjustments.
has some
I do
of
like
these.
that as an idea. If I didn't already have something that was working for me, that might be what I'd explore. The slight negative I find to the FRFR concept is that you've got something which is essentially amp shaped and amp sized and the weight of an amp, but I haven't found it to be quite as enjoyable as a real amp. So if I'm going as far as taking this thing, then why am I not just taking a real amp? It's been my experience, because essentially,
Well, see, the FR can do things that the real amp can't do. The inverse shouldn't be true. It could be, but it shouldn't be. All things being equal, anything that you can do with the regular speaker, you can do with the FR. But there's plenty of things, again, like the high end of synthesizers or super clean guitars without a speaker cabinet kind of sound that you can't do with the regular speaker.
you're getting something close to that experience. Certainly with the power cab, that's what it's trying to emulate. That's why they've put a coaxial speaker in something like a guitar cab, or the Laney full Rene clap response LFR. The idea of that is to be built like a guitar cab, stick a coaxial speaker in it, and essentially the thinking is, if you suspend a speaker within a real cab, then you should get something a bit more like the real cab response. And I know David Beebe is a huge fan of the Laney stuff, and it's not that badly priced. So I think that might be where I would start off. Also the power cab, I think some people really, really like that stuff. I've had one, I don't use it anymore, just because I found that I was more easily, with less tweaking, just able to get the actual thing that I'm looking for with either plugging into the back of a real amp or plugging in front of a solid state amp and into a cab. That was for me. I didn't have to then turn off IRs.
I don't want to waste you guys' time with this, but so I guess the answer is, do you need an FR for your modeler? No, not unless you want full range sounds out of it. If you want full range sounds, then yes, you do. Otherwise, I don't care. So let's go on here. I'm looking at Safe Space. Nothing really super new in their NAMM 2023 sub forum thing. New icon control surface. So I don't know how many people are really using this stuff out there. I mean, I see all the Yamahas, I see the Midases, I see at the smaller shows, there's some other things, but I'm not really seeing that much icon stuff, So here's DJ Waxy's answering this thing. Good luck with getting any kind of tech support or quality. I had 2 icon controllers, both broke. I emailed for tech support, never got any. I passed from country to country, then finally told by them they had no tech support. Drivers I installed off their website at the time were wrong and bricked the other controller. The idea that things can get bricked from a software update or whatever is so pathetic. It's definitely not just these guys. You see it all the time with guitar amps and things. I had no help, and that too sat in a box in the attic. I agree this does look nice, but going by past experience and from fellow users who had the same problems, I'd avoid any icon product, buy from a company that actually have proper tech support and customer service. Ouch. Okay. What else we got? I think there's like a compressor, 3-way active monitors. We talked about this before, Neumann's MT48 audio interface. And again, I want to see who's making these drivers. Is it Dessicon? You pay all that money for a thing that says Neumann on it, and then you get those drivers, right? You'd be a little bit upset. But then again, Glenn just did a video on the Audient, the one that does the automatic gain and stuff. It's kind of cool. But they use those drivers, I'm pretty sure. So there's the AXIO 1. Is this different than the AXIO? I know they keep making things smaller. I don't know that I just go grab a Focusrite. It's an 1176 style FET compressor. Yamaha debuts all new breakthrough products at the NAMM show. Let's see what they got here. Wireless stereo headphones. Hey, if that's for real or if it's going to be like too much latency to use, especially designed for practicing musicians, they offer ultra low latency response, less than 4 milliseconds, superb sound, and Bluetooth connection. Less than 4 milliseconds and Bluetooth. But does that depend on the device that's sending as well? I would really like to have wireless headphones. It'd be very handy. I tell you, for the studio, it is a pain. It's such a pain. It's an amazing pain to deal with, 1/4 inches, right? Because it's female 1/4 inch. And that's what you got to get all around your studio in order to make the headphones work. I stress over this every day. I would love to see wireless headphones that would work for this kind of stuff. I don't know if that latency is going to be a problem, but so you got the FG9 acoustic guitar, Dreadnought steel string, Stage custom birch drum set. Yeah, I'll take that. 6-ply birch shells. 3 new colors, including classic white, deep blue sunburst, and eye-catching matte surf green. Concert tubas. Don't care. Digital saxophone, Xeno bass trombone, silent brass. No idea what that is. So it's like is this some kind of let's take a look. Is this a MIDI instrument? Ooh. Is that like a pickup that you put? It's a mute. And then what does it do? Is it like a mic inside there? That's kind of cool. Clavinova digital piano, Stage keyboards. The M3 series digital mixing console. Okay, so here we go. What do we got here? Ooh, that's tiny. What is that for? That is not going to be your live sound mixing console. It looks like the newest version of the O2R or something smaller, O1V. Ampeg SGT DITM preamp and DI pedal. Ooh, okay. So it's like this bass preamp DI. So wait, does Yamaha own Ampeg? Oh, interesting. Okay. See, is there anything else on here that's worth talking about? Some new microphones. Another Antelope. Auto Align 2. Augsburger monitor. All right. Well, let's take a look at we're gonna go to the soy face clickbait guys and see what they're checking out at YouTube. So here's Ola at NAMM. Let's see.
All right, first day at NAMM. Let's go. Do Durant's now before opening hours. Without up and down, I guess.
Right. So, Ola's kind of going to be looking at the same stuff I want to see most likely. So let's see what he goes.
Right.
Something like that.
But NAMM this year is obviously not as big as before the pandemic. So it's going to be interesting seeing who's here and who's not here. This year they have a little side booth. And
Should I even play this? Am I going to get nailed for putting Chapman guitars on here?
I want to see the
We'll just go on from here.
No? Yeah. That looks good.
No.
Well, this one has a screen, and also, how we also got to the show is to have these, things like these boutique guitar showcase, where one guy just basically gets a booth, and then smaller builders get a small little portion of that booth. So we have Dean Gordon guitars right here. It's pretty good. Sankey guitars.
I love the non-traditional guitar shapes. I wish we'd stop building them out of wood. Honestly,
that's pretty cool. Look at that. Strandberg.
Oh, you see the whisper rooms in there?
Oh, that's cool.
I wish I was at NAMM. I really need to be again. It's been a very long time, and health-wise, it's hard, but I would like to be there. Look at this thing. So this doesn't look like it's made out of wood. It's
look at that.
Very cool.
Meloria travel guitar. Oh, cool.
Very
so
cool.
You flip these in, and you have just a straight line.
Travel guitar.
Very cool. And this is Sarah Longfield, I guess. Or no, hang on. 12 match. Okay, this is something else. Bowden J Artisan. Okay. Yeah, next. Yeah.
They're
cool.
so glossy.
Look at that Negrini. Look at that fretboard, man.
Oh, compensated frets. Awesome. That's
Big wall
crazy.
basses.
Mine.
Yeah, Ibanez boots. There's supposed to be some new guitars here, but they're not here right now.
Man, Ibanez has a giant chunk of this.
4,399. Holy shit. Axe Design Lab. Look at that.
What is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 string. All right.
9 string.
That's a battle.
Holy shit. What do you have here? 27 frets. Right there.
All right, let's go on.
But who cares?
So the RGs.
Larry Basilio signature. That. Yeah, look at that. I like this price that he's having on his guitar. New John Satriani, New Joe Satriani and Steve Vai guitars are not here. Look at the listing for this one, 11,000. Duncan booth. Otherwise, that's a little bit smaller. West Hawk right there.
Ooh, speaking of which, have you guys seen Duncan Switch? Duncan just came out with some kind of Bluetooth, the Hyper Switch, $150. It's a Bluetooth programmable 5-way switch. So I guess you can get all these different combinations out of your pickups and stuff, like the old Star switches or whatever, which is really cool. However, I use their blackouts, and I have no way to switch those to single coil. So I'm kind of out of luck with that setup. But I suppose with 2 4-wire humbuckers, this is super awesome. But yeah, come on, Duncan, come on, EMG. Let's get some more single coils out there. Right,
oh, it's a Zola. Look to it.
More guitars. Nice glitter. Wow.
I've never heard about these before. Cream guitars. Look at these. Holy shit.
Wow.
But I really like what they're doing. Also, another good thing about walking around alone at NAMM is that you can fart and no one will hear. I'll be able to hear. Swedish, easy to use.
Yeah, he's really going through the guitars here. Are those BC Riches?
I just saw this. Look at this.
Wow. Yeah, I'm really loving that
up.
stuff that's not made out of wood.
Darkest Nightmare.
We really shouldn't be making these things out of wood anymore. Oh, here's Ola's own guitars, of course, right? There's the Solars. Guitars have gone up in price so much lately. It's crazy.
You don't trust Christian.
I'm not really seeing anything. We're that interested.
The Kaisen, close in the Bossy. In Europe.
Let's take a look at here. Doing another clickbait. Let's see what Warren's got to say here.
We're at NAMM 2023, and it doesn't get more Scottish than this. What? Look, there's Paul Third, and look. So let's go in to NAMM and check out what is new and nutritious at NAMM 2023.
We wanted to make a high quality handmade workhorse of a mic.
Yeah.
All right, now I'm sure these are good, and there's a lot of companies doing this and making really good microphones. But I mean, how many variations on the exact same Neumann? And then look how everybody copies the same logos and everything from the old Telefunken and AKG and Neumann stuff. And as if that was the pinnacle of technology and we can never improve upon it. You know, I mean, I'm sure
under $1,000 bucks.
Right.
That was still made entirely in our factory.
Beautiful.
So we tried to simplify the design, physically optimize things as much as we could, still use a handmade capsule, and provide something, to people who have a limited, but still expensive for a lot of people. But
sure,
compared to our other microphones, relatively affordable.
All I remember is when I saw this, I was just like, this is the coolest looking mic ever. How cool is that? Absolutely amazing. And I don't have one though, so I need to get one.
Well, we'll get you one.
Okay.
Yeah, we can arrange it.
Can we do one of these as a giveaway as well?
That's what I was going to say.
We're going to do a giveaway.
We're going to give away.
And
it's a really, if you go on the site, we have a listening library where you can hear it on vocals, guitars, drums. Has a mic.
Guys will get in here late. Fiddly enough.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, I'm
Kinda like
partial to that. But there's a lot of people who love black.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, especially if you're trying to just kind of hide the mics.
Yeah.
Great. So, okay, what's that sitting over there? It looks
Oh.
like an AM radio from or like something out of a movie.
Yeah. Well, basically, it's called a Tula mic, and I had this idea that there are a lot of people creating content these days who need good sound, but they don't know much about sound. So I wanted to
really cool for
provide
Instagram,
something
just a
that
wallet
made it
person.
easy as a flip.
Design. Come on.
It's the exact ratio. It's only called side later.
Yeah.
What
Please understand images. And what's it called
Sorry,
again?
I'm skipping around.
Tula.
I'm trying to
How do you spell it?
Tula.
Tula.
Yeah, and Tula is the name of the town where we produce our Soyuz mics. But I always thought it was such a pretty word that
People watching this, listening to you
Lord, guys.
to win.
Hey guys, it's Joe. I'm here with a friend of mine, Eric. We met at NAMM, I think it's 2 or 3 years ago.
2 years ago, yeah.
I saw this, and I just had to demo it, and honestly, I bought it immediately. I had to have it. Then I had to have 2. I bought that. Then I had to
who's
buy
this
that.
Spearman?
So I'm a big fan of Eric and his designs. And what's new this year for you guys?
So nothing just for.
So you see, I mean, it's cool, but what are we looking at? We're looking at a Pultec. We're looking at some sort of Fairchild, whatever. I mean, guys, it's decades from there. 70 years, 60 years.
Locomotive, but I've done a collaboration project with Louder Than Liftoff. So if you're not familiar, this is called the Silver Bullet down here. It's a stereo processing unit that has gotten really popular over the last few years, and you can read about it all over the internet, and everybody's using them now. So basically what I've done is I've designed a module that goes inside of it, and it allows you to have tube compression inside of the Silver Bullet, which is something that we didn't think that we were going to be able to achieve.
So when you say tube compression, you're okay, so you tone, but I get adjustable attack and release, almost like an 1176. Right. Well, I've already for me.
Okay.
In audio, this is Kurt Richter.
Hi.
You guys see it?
Austrian audio.
Mir geht's gut, danke. Ich hoffe dir auch.
Good. I'm a Zebra Septic, of course. Wow. Yeah, busy as ever. But we've got the OD5, which Eric and I have been working on a video. It's not released yet, so this is going to be before it. We really like this mic.
Cool.
Rather good. So why don't you actually knows more about it than me? I just know how to plug it
How
in.
much is it?
Tell us about it.
So, I'm always looking for mics that you can put on a drum set and not worry about, especially for toms. They got to be able to reject the cymbals really well, but yet be able to fit in there. Same with the snare drum. I have a Beta 56 in there on a clamp that is constantly moving around, and I really got to do something about that. In fact, today I think when I'm off of here, I'm going to go see what I can do about fixing that up. But I'm always watching when these guys have these goofy shaped microphones that look like they would fit around the drum set better. This one might be a little bit big, but let's see what they say about the OD5.
Which is already cool to know. No, I mean the microphone is meant to be used with instruments mainly.
Yeah.
Close miking.
Yeah.
So we have the condenser version, which is the OC7.
Yeah.
And the again active dynamic version, the OD5. So it kind of follows the same principle like with the handhelds.
Yeah.
So we decided
these things?
to do an active design because phantom power nowadays is no problem.
Absolutely.
So it helps. It's basically an amplifier built into the microphone that fits perfectly to the capsule, and it gives you more output from the microphone,
$300,
and it allows you to have kind of a nice low cut and pad switch on the microphone, which is not possible on a passive design, because depending on the cable and the preamp you use, you would never know where the center frequency of the low cut is.
Oh, okay.
It would move. But in this edition, you find a way to
The
distort.
microphones. All right, now we're standing in front of another set of Pultec looking things.
Nice to meet like a pro. Are you excited to be here?
Love it, love it. This is my second NAMM. This one's looking great. It's full of people, and we're psyched. We have some new products that we're really, interested in talking about.
Amazing. This is my first NAMM, so I'm really excited to be here.
Awesome.
I'm a fan of your products. I've got various compressors of yours. I've had the preamp.
Is this
Just
universal
good
audio?
quality, good sounding gear. What's your new release?
So this is the 2-channel version of our new release. This is the WA MPX. This is the 2 MPX 2-channel stereo. And this is based on the famous 351 style of tape machine 2.
So this is more vintage stuff. Like I'm not super interested in the vintage stuff. Oh, here's our guy right here. Very much friend of the show, friend of AIX DSP, Alex Nasla. There's Glenn Fricker right there. Let's see what they got to say. Okay. Now you guys may or may not know how much we've been doing with these guys. So let's see what they're talking about.
€9 right now, $13.99 US. It's a ton of products, right, per channel, especially given that it's a 90 dB all tube preamp.
Fantastic.
Glenn Fricker and our good friend Alex Nasla, and they have a really exciting new bass plugin that they're actually showing. So it's not coming out. When's it coming out?
It's not coming out for a while because we have other stuff we have to come out first.
We need to get Prism out the door.
It is done.
You
That's
just
the
mentioned
sign of a
Prism.
great
Okay.
company.
You guys heard it there. So that's not me spilling the beans. That's Glenn or Alex spilling the beans. Okay. And this is the second time. They said something about it on another TV show. So that's not me spilling the beans. That's them. Point at them.
Yeah.
That's quality problem.
Well,
It's what's known as a quality
yeah.
problem. But it's really exciting. We've got Paul Third here, who's a tough person to please.
This is
Yeah.
Company.
Other stuff we have to come out first.
We need to get Prism out the door.
It is done.
That's the sign of a great company.
Yeah.
That's quality problem.
Well,
It's what's known as a quality
yeah.
problem. But it's really exciting. We've got Paul Third here, who's a tough person to please. No, the thing that we love about it is it's doing all the things that you want in one plugin. As if you've watched any of me ever mixing a bass, I'll take a DI, split it into 2, sometimes 3 signals, and then do 3 sets of processing. They've decided to do all of that in one plugin. And Paul and I like that idea because A, it's in one plugin, and B, also because they're not relying on that kind of BS world of trying to make it look like some vintage piece of equipment just to fool people
Yes.
into it. I have
Well, then he just spent the whole first half of this show going and looking at all this vintage stuff, but whatever. Okay.
a problem with that because to me it should be if you're 13 years old and you've got your first DAW, you want to get in and you don't need this barrier of entry where you have to figure out why something's called a 19742 and it's a clone of or whatever. I don't need to know that anymore. You just want to get straight in and make good music.
And we even made the names not something that's like oh yeah, this is this amp or this
Right.
is this amp.
Yeah, imagine. I swear there was somebody who was saying stuff like this, like for the past 20 years.
Yeah.
You'll get an idea just from like modern vintage. Okay, I can.
I need to support this because one of the things that really talking to Matt McGlynn at Roswell, he brings out the Mini K67 and say K47, which we all know is
great, yeah.
one of the best sounding microphones. And he originally brought it out, and it was a slow seller. And then his marketing guy says, "You've got to call it 47." Or 67, because then people will take notice. And that's the sad world that we live in, that somebody has an innovative product, but you have to pretend it's a clone of something to get people to notice. And anybody that's not doing that now, I'm fully behind. Because 13-year-old kids don't need to know that.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody, dude, forget it. Nobody needs to know
Nobody
that.
needs to do that.
That's.
They don't need that stigma.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't-
We gotta go in 5 minutes.
Okay,
Less
okay,
than
okay.
5
Yeah.
minutes.
So this has been wonderful. Stay tuned. Exciting
Yes.
new stuff from
Yes.
these gentlemen here.
Yes.
Hey guys, it's Joe with Produce Like a Pro. I'm so proud to be with my friend today, Colin. I met Colin in 1999 in Nashville at a Digidesign. Do you remember that? Yep. At the tracking room. Yep. Man, we had a lot less gray hair.
We're still 35.
We had a lot less gray hair then. But anyway, I've been a long time user. I mean, yours was the first EQ. I've told him this many times. The very first EQ inside
That's
of
a
Pro Tools that I
McDSP.
turned, I was like, oh, okay. All of a sudden, this is the real deal. You know, it doesn't sound like
Now, if you guys have been watching these horrible like subscription versus own it forever battles, I think McDSP is one of the companies that lets you still buy stuff. So, and if you're thinking about AIX DSP, we don't have subscriptions. So
anything else sounded at that
Maybe
time,
we
which
will
was
one day.
terrible. Let's just be honest. His was the first things that just really took, I think, you know, in the box mixing to a whole new level. And I use Filter Bank, MC2000, all that stuff on every mix I do. I swear to this day.
Processing box that you made, you know, digital controlled from a plugin, but it's all the analog processing underneath. Oh yeah, who wouldn't want that? But I want to have complete control over all the analog saturation characteristics in the plugin. Oh, okay, can we call it KD1 and make it red? Well, great, here it is. So, you know, drive, a couple of saturation modes. You can focus the distortion in any of the frequency spectrum regions you want. It even has a kinetics knob, so if you're kind of like a real analog saturation snob and you like your compression / voltage sag thing where there's some kind of like living, breathing, dynamic process that happens in conjunction with the saturation wet dry show, KD1, and it's free to all registered owners of an APV hardware product.
Wow. You know what I've got to do? I've got to become a... first of which is, of course, the M box, and Gil is the expert on the M box.
Oh, okay. So here's a company that, well, this is interesting. So M Audio was one of the early players on the Project Studio days, with the ADATs, and they were very early on in the DAW world. And then I think they were bought by DigiDesign or Avid or whoever was owning Pro Tools at the time. And then I think they got sold off. But now I'm seeing this thing. Seems like it's saying Pro Tools M-Box Studio. I'm not
We're going to show you. First of which is, of course, the M box, and Gil is the expert on the M box. So. All right. So yeah, M box Studio. We released it towards the end of the year last year. Kind of our foray back into desktop audio interfaces.
So M Audio had built some good stuff. They built some maybe not so good stuff, but they built some good stuff. And lately, you go on their webpage and it's just sad. Them, Alesis, all these companies that did so much pioneering, and the stuff just looks sad. But it's nice to see them back at NAMM and doing something.
Really cool USB-C based box, gives you lots of analog ins, analog outs, digital connectivity, 4 mic pre's built into it, 2 on the front panel, 2 on the back. Got something called Variable Z for all the analog inputs that you're going into that basically help you to emulate.
So when I type
the
in
analog
M-Box Studio, I'm getting Avid's web page. 4 mic pre's. I don't know about how many. See the back. Ooh, 8 in. So you probably like a 12 channel or something. Interesting.
Gear that you're trying to plug into in the virtual world. So like, for instance, I got a guitar plugged into the front panel here. Bring up a guitar, like a tube guitar amp. It really wants to see like a 1 mega ohm kind of resistive load on the front end. Well, I can set that with our Variable Z. Or if I put something like a tube screamer up front, that wants to see something more in like the 70K range. So I can then switch the Variable Z to that. So as an actual player, it feels more like the hardware that you're actually plugging into, which is pretty unique to what we do. M-Box Studio also has a really comprehensive monitoring section on it. So we have the ability to have like a main stereo set of monitor outs, an alt stereo set of monitor outs, plus its own Bluetooth set of monitor outs. So you can hook up your favorite pair of earbuds.
It's something I'd like to see for more interfaces at this point. Bluetooth broadcasting, it'd be really handy to have. That's actually a really good idea.
Or like we've got this little JBL Bluetooth speaker here that we can have to kind of have different monitoring sections.
Awesome.
It's got ADAT, it's got 2 independent headphones, so a lot of functionality. Comes with Pro Tools, comes with Sibelius, comes with a lot of great software, especially for some of the new stuff that we just introduced recently. Indeed. So there are, as of the latest Pro Tools release, there are 2 main new creative functions. And the first is called the Sonic Drop. And the Pro Tools Sonic Drop, it's a monthly content program where if you're an...
With Nick. How are you?
Hi, Warren. I'm very well. Nice to meet you in person.
Lovely to be met in person. Good to meet you too. So, Antelope are giving us a sneak peek.
All right. You guys may know how I feel about this company. I'm not really super thrilled to go show this stuff. They make some claims that, they got a long chunk.
Functionality is going to be optional. Give your successful Camden 500 series preamp. Everyone
Okay,
raise.
so here's another one. This one has like these 500 series boxes. 2 ADAT, I think. And also they have their own audio driver. I think, again, this is like Desicon drivers.
It's about the
interesting
mojo
stuff if
setting
you're running the 500
on those preamp, and of course your ADAT and RE is RS.
500 R8, yep.
R8
exactly,
interface lunchbox.
Yep.
You've just launched the Carnaby, which is a harmonic EQ.
Yes, the world's first.
Can you tell our audience what a harmonic EQ is?
Well, think about it like this, Ed. So there's a lot of what people want to do is they want to get analog color and character.
People just use this term analog and vintage, and if it manifests in the real world, it can be measured in the real world. Let's stop this.
On their recordings.
Yeah.
Right.
the thing with analog character is it's like you're looking at transformer gear or tube gear or tape saturation plugins and stuff like that. Those are all broadband devices. So those will operate across the entire frequency range, and you don't get granular control of specific frequency ranges and specific areas where you might want that. So as an example, like transformer saturation is quite nice on low end. You know, a lot of people like it. It can also bring a nice presence into it. But like sometimes what it can do is on the extreme sub bass, it can make your low end a little woofy or a little, something like that.
Yeah, we had this vibe.
As example, tubes can sometimes destroy some of your high frequencies, but do really good stuff in the mid bands. So on and so forth, right? So our premise was, wouldn't it be great is if you could control like genuine analog harmonic saturation, but like you would control an EQ. So for instance, you could choose frequencies, you could choose how much you want, you could also cut as well, but still add harmonics. So that's what an harmonic EQ does, basically. Every other analog EQ that's ever been made uses phase to equalize a signal. Carnaby uses harmonics to equalize a signal. So a completely different approach, never been tried before, never been done before.
Is that true? Is that true? Aren't we still going to have the same phase issues? If not, let's take a look at this thing. So, yeah.
Demonstrate this. Let's have a listen.
Yeah. So basically, I have all the Carnabys active here. So this is so we have 4 stereo groups here. So these are all done as stereo EQs using our OptoSync feature. This is a drum group. This is actually a bass group. It's a mono signal but split into stereo. And then this is an instrument group. So this is guitars and synths, and this is I bypass them one by one. So you see how that's off.
Yeah.
So now, if I enable them again, you feel the energy it brings into the track.
I like the lights. I love lights.
Exactly. A little okay for
interesting idea. I wonder if it's really
harmonic levels.
Is this where you're literally working off one on each pair, so you don't have to go through 8?
Blast, and a simple 60 beat per octave high pass filter at 115 and at 230. We got a super high input impedance of 68K. Anything you could ever want. Very simple. And then over here,
and are these designed impedance-wise to go?
If you're into like RCA 77s or 44s, I think this is the company who makes those.
With your ribbon microphones.
They're designed to work very well with ribbons, even vintage ribbons. But of course, they work great on every microphone.
Right.
Yeah.
Good answer.
If it works good on a ribbon, it'll work good on everything.
And how's the 500 series going for you?
The 500 series is great. Everybody loves it. It's beautiful.
I just, honestly, all this outboard stuff, let's every time we try and ABX the golden ears, do they really hear it? Not often. Sometimes. Let's see what else we got here.
Soon.
Yes. But you can check out our website. We got spec sheets up. We got everything.
All right. Amazing. Thanks, Joey.
Nice to meet you.
Best of luck with the products.
Thanks.
Hey, Ryan. Ed with Produce Like a Pro. So we're back in Audioscape land right now, and you've got your brand new, is it the ASA 6A?
That's correct.
Talk me through the ASA 6A.
So the AS6A is 7 transformers.
7?
It's all of the original tubes that were used in the RCA VA6A.
Right.
We added in a couple of new features, high pass filter, negative feedback for when you want that edgier sound to it.
Okay.
We've also added threshold control. Oh my God, we have
Tons of stuff.
monitors and we have headphones.
Monitors and headphones.
What about the headphones?
I said monitors and headphones. This is great.
Yeah, we do both of them, and they are actually like sonically very, very close to each other.
Okay.
Because they're all based on the air motion transformers.
Yeah, the
Here's
AMC.
the audio, and I see HEDD. So there used to be this Crane song harmonically. I think it was Crane song, harmonically enhanced digital device. It was supposed to be some really nice mic preamp converter set.
I see that here and here.
Yeah, exactly. So this was like one of the biggest things we did in last year was to figure out how to turn the tweeter technology into like full range device for headphones.
Nice.
It's like a breakthrough for us. And it sort of showed us that we should also sort of transform into.
So that was the end of day one. This is the Airbnb, by the way. James, otherwise known as Hamas, is on the camera. And here's the team. Here's Lee, about to collapse asleep. Eric. Hello. Addy. Hello. And my beautiful wife, Kasia. We just got back from She-Rocks, by the way, which was really fantastic. Put a lot of support into that. If you can, She-Rocks is awesome. So that's the end of day one, and join us again for day two.
We gotta
coming
keep watching this stuff
soon. There's links down below for the giveaway, so please enter.
I think that's enough for me. I'll see you guys next week. Love this NAMM stuff. It's always exciting every year when